I'd like to invite Toimai Workforce Development Council to the seats at the front here. If I can ask you each introduce yourself, and then we've got 10 minutes with you this morning, including any time for questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Over here on my right is Alice Shearman, who's the co-chair of Toimai Workforce Development Council. To my left, Stephen Youngblood, Haururu Kurangai, Taumata Tiro Tiro, General Manager Strategy and Insights. My name is Claire Robinson. I'm the Chief Executive of Toimai Workforce Development Council. New Zealand's economic future depends on a skills system that can keep up with technology, with global competition, and with the changing shape of work. We need a skills system that delivers opportunity to learners and capability to industry. A skills system grounded in strong, responsive, and effective vocational education and training. But when only 6% of graduates from screen-related qualifications end up working in the industry they trained for, that's not the graduate's failure, it's the systems. When industry after industry tells us that they cannot use the skills that graduates bring, and half of our tech workforce is on visas, that's not the fault of learners or employers, it's a systems failure and a national risk. The vocational education and training system has to change, and reform is needed. But the reforms proposed in this bill will do little to shift vocational education and training towards delivering the skills our industries actually need, particularly in the creative and digital technology industries, which could underpin the next phases of New Zealand's economic growth. And unless we act boldly, these industries will grow, just not inside New Zealand. At Toimai, we support industries that are innovative, fast-moving, and globally connected. These industries aren't waiting around, but our skills system is. We need to be frank here. Our current vocational education system was not built for the industries that will define New Zealand's economic future. It was built around the traditional or legacy industries like agriculture and construction, and forms of apprenticeship learning originating in the 19th century. These reforms support those industries and that type of work-based learning, while leaving the current system flaws unchanged. These system flaws include the system incentives, which focus on attaining funding for institutions and awarding qualifications, not the development of useful, relevant skills as, where, and when needed by industry. It's a system that funds long courses over short-form targeted industry-delivered learning. It's a system that assumes everyone has a boss, ignoring the difficulties faced by gig-based workers who are the backbone of our future-focused industries. Reshuffling polytechs and industry skills boards on the margins risks shifting the furniture and calling it transformation. It's not, it's rearrangement. As a country, we excel in solving problems by defunding, restructuring, and changing the regulation. And then we're surprised when things don't change. This bill tinkers at the edge of a slow, fragmented system and locks in the very problems we want to solve. Toimai is not opposed to reform. On the contrary, we're asking you to go further. Use this moment to design a system that works, not just administratively, but economically. Toimai is calling for a national skills strategy, so we train people for the industries we want to grow. A single national skills agency, so the system is coordinated and responsive. Work-based learning for all forms of work, so that no one is left out simply because their work-based training model doesn't fit a legacy employment template. It's relatively easy to make technical amendments to the bill to make it better reflect what government is trying to do, and we suggest some amendments to this effect in our written submission, but it is harder, bolder, and necessary to reorient the system to one that delivers skills for learners, capability for industry, and better value for taxpayers. Let's learn from places like the UK, where Skills England was recently launched with exactly this vision and mandate to focus the entire vocational education system on national growth and prosperity. This select committee has a choice to entrench a vocational education system built for the world of work we've already left behind, or build a skills system that responds to the world we're moving into. You have the chance to do more than tidy up a system with this legislation. You can redesign it for a future that's already here. Don't miss the moment. Kua mutu taku kōrero mō tēnei wā nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Question from Grant McCullum.
Thank
and
you.
then
That was
Shannon.
really very, very interesting submission. So effectively what you're saying, Comita, is that what we've done historically, whether it's BT Pukenga or in previous that, is not fit for purpose in the future world.
Yeah.
And this, while the intentions there, is not also really addressing the issues you see it, particularly with the height of the sector, the business opportunities going forward for the country.
It's a fantastic summary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it basically sums up. Okay.
Yes, and if you look at the most radical reform in the last 40 years, that was the Education Act in 1989. That opened up competition to institutions. Polytech started offering degrees. All of a sudden, everything moved towards 3 and 4 year degrees and postgraduate degrees, and took the guts out of the vocational education training system, which we've been trying to get up and going. But it's still only, this education system is still only built around the qualifications and then a very narrow interpretation of apprentices. What we're saying is let's actually stop talking about degrees and apprentices, and if we start using the words of skills and the language of skills, then we can really interact with industry and build that up.
So what you say, it needs to be more nimble in the sense that because it's such an evolving, I suppose AI sums it up. We've got a friend doing an AI master's degree. Well, I suspect the lecturer is writing a month or two ahead of the guy learning it.
Yeah.
And
It's still too slow, eh?
yeah, probably. But is that obviously start the challenge? We've got to be designing more nimble so they can reassess and design courses that are relevant for business.
Well, why would your friend be doing a master's? He could actually do she could actually do a really short form course that is offered by industry, people who are really working in the system. The problem is that the funding coming through Ministry of Education to TEC gets channeled into institutions that are incentivised to offer long form courses. Their system needs to say, how can we enable various forms of industry delivered relevant training happen as and when needed?
Thank you.
Thanks very much. A quick primary from Shannon Halbert.
Kia ora, thank you, and I really value the work that you've done to date. My question is, what input has your council been able to have in the draft of this legislation, and your industry partners as well? And what are the examples where your feedback has turned into outcomes into this legislation?
None.
Okay. Do you want a quick sub on that, Shannon?
And just to clarify, WDC hasn't had any input. Have industry partners had any input?
No.
And so
only through submission processes through other forms, but not to the legislation. No.
And what happens to the work that is currently sitting on your shelves ready to educate New Zealanders?
We don't have an answer for that.
We are looking to transition work to other agencies that may be a useful home for it, but that'll be the finished work rather than the intellectual property and the other things that sort of sit within people's heads.
And one of the values of the Workforce Development Council is that we were funded to be able to do strategic insights, analysis, data gathering. The new ISPs won't be funded to be able to do that. So all of that analysis and thinking disappears. We don't know which agencies will pick up, if any at all.
And so some of the transitional funding will be allocated to that?
We don't know what the transitional funding will be allocated to.
Okay, we're going to round it off there. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have